Good evening. Welcome to Environmental Coffee House, everyone. Kind of a somber Friday, different kind of show. This is COP 30, but this is not your mother and father's COP 30 show, that's for sure. Uh, Tonight we're going to look at COP through the World Meteorological Organization, and I want to talk about how and why I think the most important part of the United Nations and COP actually is the World Meteorological Organization, as well as the United Nations Disaster Assessment and Coordination organizations. And you'll see why as we go. But they are, keep in mind. And good evening, Poppy, and good evening, Rollins Switch, and thank you for moderating. Kim and Looney and hi Carrie and Dale and everybody. It's great to see all of you. Alex, if I and Robert, if I miss you, I'm sorry. I've got quite a bit I want to get into, and that's going to require changing screens a little bit. But I guess the first video I'll show you is the little clip as people join, and we're only live on YouTube. I screwed it up. I was going to be live on X, and I forgot to flip a switch. And we usually get people over there that watch. They're the silent watchers, you know. But okay, so I'll put this one on first to give us the warm up of what they are about. And hello, Susan. Okay, and we're going to go through why I've arrived at this. Why am I not doing a we don't have time show, or showing the I like to cover the COP capitalist class, or what have you. But I think this year is different. This year we really need to talk about what the World Meteorological Organization does, and why I think disaster management is probably one of the most important things, like what Nicholas does, important things in the future, going forward. Now, going forward, we know this. Okay, so there's the World Meteorological Organization. Let's figure out what they're about and why I've chosen them. We're going to go to my screen share tonight, and I have a lot of material. Maybe I sound somber, but when you research all this stuff, it's somberly, it's somber. Okay, so here we're starting. You see, as I was doing my work for this and I was doing my research, I was going through bookmarks on X, and I've had a love-hate affair with X. And as you know, I got X back. Somebody anonymous bought me a blue check when I had lost the channel, and it might have helped. I don't know if it helped. Started going through my bookmarks, and I've been following Ben C for a long time. And I saw this bookmark, and this bookmark says, but see the date. I don't know if it's big enough. The date is August 26, 2019. The post says, by 2026, most of humanity will live with severe water stress. 2, fear unprecedented heat waves. 3, be at risk from deadly diseases. 4, be affected by extreme weather. 5, suffer hunger, famine, starvation. And 6, consider relocating due to climate. No, this couldn't be true. Could it? 2019, not that long ago. 2026 is fast rolling around. So the rest of his tweet, average global temperature will have risen considerably in 7 years' time. We're set to hit catastrophic 1.5 C by 2026. Oh no, we've already hit it. We went higher. Yeah, this was the hottest. Earth is already shooting through 1.5 C global warming. Elliot was on. Elliot's posted his. We touched 1.7. We are there. A year early than what Ben had said. And the analysis assumes that little or no action is taken to reduce emissions. Of course not. So remember, this is 19. I was doing shows back then with Jennifer and Nicholas and Antonio. We've been here all along. So here we are. And he said that, okay. And there is no sign of even moderate action happening soon. Well, what's happened? I mean, 19. Who was the president in 19? Okay. And then we had a reprieve for a little while. Got the the Build Back Better. Started to make tiny little things. Not really. Not much. And then what happens? What happens? The worst possible thing that could happen for the entire planet. And here we are, living with denial and science that is, in the United States at least, science is gone, or it's being replaced with basically technology, science of technology. That's about it. Not anything else. Maybe medical. Some medical grants. Medical schools have gotten grants. I noticed University of Buffalo Research Foundation, which was my employer, they have gotten recent medical grants for the medical school. So all is not totally lost. So then Ben says, by 2025, half of the world's population will be living in water-stressed areas. What have we seen? You've looked at Volcaholic. You've looked at extreme weather. You've looked at our videos. You've seen flooding. What have we seen? Already today, 50% of people suffer severe water scarcity. How will this improve? Billions will live with high water stress. We had a drought this year. I didn't have rain for months. And that was tough on the garden. But that's nothing compared to the rest of the world with the droughts. So water, 4 billion living in regions of high water stress by 2030, says the UN. And that doesn't even take into account abrupt warming. And he brings the goods. I mean, he brings the articles. He brings the stuff. Extraordinary changes must occur for today's situation at 1C. So in 2019, 1C. Where are we now? We are seeing extreme weather ramp up. I didn't even think this would happen like this. 2019, 17 countries home to 25% of the world's population face extremely high levels of water stress. 44 countries, 33% of the world face high levels of stress. I'm not going to go into all of his links, but they're all there. And it's gotten worse. Is it doomer night? Maybe. I think I'm having that realization that as much as I want to push the feelings away and not feel like, okay, not doomed, but that this is I've made videos that show the Titanic. I don't think I've changed. I may have pushed it away, but man, I mean, it's tough. Probably why only 34 quality people are here. Nobody can handle the real truth. And I sound like one of those rumble crackpots, but unfortunately, this is where we are. 50% of global population will face exposure to severe heat waves at least once every 20 years at 1.5. See, we've seen these heat waves in Asian countries. We have seen them in Pakistan. I mean, it's happening. We are living this. We're living it. Staggering to think that 4 billion people will have a genuine reason to fear such extreme heat so soon. Heat waves with levels of heat and humidity that exceed what humans can survive without protection could hit over 1.5 billion people in South Asia within a few decades. Severe heat waves really do look set to threaten 50% more of humanity in 2026. Maybe he had that crystal ball. I have the magic fish. I have the magic fish from Halloween. I don't have a crystal ball. Ben doesn't have a crystal ball. He didn't have a crystal ball. He's still around. He's still on this. Today, 1/3 other 5-year-olds die each year from diarrheal diseases. 4.5 billion people lack safely managed sanitation services. Only profound system change towards climate justice could avoid the current situation deteriorating further. So we just saw that Bill Gates said a similar thing, but totally neglected that the climate change, the climate crisis, warming of our climate, environmental ecocide, which we are actually have seen where COP30 is, because they've taken down some of the Amazon. They've ruined some beautiful, pristine area for this. So, boy, Ben, your crystal ball's pretty cool. 2.1 billion people lack access to safely managed drinking water services. 4.5 billion people lack safely managed sanitation service. And then 2019, Gaza hadn't even happened. I mean, things are so much worse. Ukraine, Gaza, 2019 was the beginning of a pandemic. I mean, so much change, but he's not wrong. Today, 6 billion people are in climates where there's a risk of mosquito-spread diseases. That number will rise. What did we just see? Mosquitoes in Iceland for the first time ever documented in human history. Climate change is going to kill a lot of people. Mosquito-borne diseases are going to be a big way that happens. Not even the pandemic yet. Most people will be affected as crops, infrastructure, homes, and the global economy are hit by increasingly severe weather. Already, today, 1 billion people are directly facing climate change-related hazards, cyclones, floods, bushfires, rising sea levels. So since 2019, the Canadian fires, the Pacific Palisades, floods, Helene. I mean, insane, right? Since 1998, and people poo-pooed him. Since 1998, about 4.5 billion people around the world have been hurt by extreme weather. In the next 7 years, as abrupt climate change accelerates, this number will likely be hit directly or indirectly as extreme weather becomes far more severe and frequent. Today, 2 billion hungry, and climate change is making things worse. Yeah, so is the orange turd. 2 billion hit by absolute water scarcity by 2026, plus worse extreme weather. The impact on food production, only huge change could stop over 50% being hungry. And he doesn't even bring up the avian flu and having to cull millions of birds and the tick-borne illness that when people eat meat, they die. If we cannot find a solution to this problem, oh boy, there's the S word. In 2025, close to 70% of the planet's soil could be affected. There will not be global security without food security, and 75% of Africa's people will rely on food aid by 2025. Now, I don't have the statistics on that one. I know on the Climate Crisis Club, there are people that come in from Africa and talk about the things that they're doing. There's a Ugandan. It's not easy for them. The countries are always, a lot of war-torn countries, a lot of, but there is soil degradation. I can't tell you right now or verify. If anybody out there that's listening wants to try to verify the food aid, USA aid in the United States is over. So they're not getting anything from the United States. Banana growing regions of West Africa will need to act within the next decade, as the land is expected to become unsuitable by 2025. Okay, I don't know about that specific place because I didn't do all of the back and forth with this, but you get the drift. He's not far off. Maize growing areas of Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Tanzania. He said then in 1910 years left. And that was from a Reuters article. At 1.5, average global drought length will increase to 2 months. And ours was 3. Pollinators continue to decline. Yeah, not here. I just don't mow the lawn. Increased frequency of heat extremes over land in Africa. Average drought, North Africa 7 months, West Africa 6 months, East Africa 3 months, and South Africa 4 months. And then Ben says, from 2010, yet to be fully recognized by both the public and the climate research community. If the projections in this study come even close to being realized, the consequences for society worldwide will be enormous. Cat hair, such a favorite. And now we're set to hit it. Yep, we already did, but here we are. Sorry, guys. Sorry, kids. But somebody has to bring the news, right? Because you're not going to see this on mainstream media. Threat to food production in Asia from drought risk brought on by climate change by 27 could threaten global food security. Droughts lasting longer than 3 months will be more than twice as severe compared to the 90 to 2005. And he said, looming food crisis. And that, I think, is a lot livelihoods they're from the climate crisis, but it'll end up increasing food price. Increase of the cost of living will further exacerbate poverty, which is happening right in the United States. Now, is that because the orange turd is basically doing it from tariffs, or is it a combination? It's a combination. But nobody wants to really talk about that in the mainstream and tell people in the United States this is happening. 4 billion suffering from micronutrient malnutrition, hidden hunger, or worse by 26. Disturbing possibility, of course, it's going to happen. There's nothing out there. There's no USA aid. So the other countries are scrambling, but they didn't have the kind of resources that we had, which was a benefit to the whole world. And that's why I like the United Nations. What will food prices be like in 2026? I feel like I need to play the laughing. Where the hell is the laughing? Boom. Yeah. It seems by 2026, most people will at some point weigh up whether they should stay or move to avoid negative impacts of climate breakdown and ecological collapse. There are 27 million climate refugees. You see this in the mainstream media. You do see New York Times. You see other places talking about, the best climates to live in. In fact, I am going to have Emily Shorning back as a guest at the end of the month from American Resiliency to talk about all those issues. If I don't quit before then. Okay. Hundreds of millions will have moved by 2026. Well, they won't be moving to the United States of America because we have ice. The Arctic may not have ice. We do. But we'll see what happens, with the millions. I mean, people are going. I don't know if it's hundreds of millions. I haven't, like I said, I didn't verify every one of his predictions, but I did think this was very interesting because everything he did was from research. He's not just posting bullshit. A billion climate refugees. Scientists now realize that climate breakdown and the ecological emergency are far more severe and accelerating. Now, of course, the denier class in the United States, they don't want you to believe or even understand or even hear or even read the words climate change or climate crisis. Absolutely not. And so many people, like I would say the people in Asheville, North Carolina, shocked at the things that can happen now because no one is telling them that they are going to happen other than YouTube scientists and maybe some people on Blue Sky and a few on X and a few on, some of the other platforms like Substack. But none of this is set in stone, he says. Radical positive changes to human society could help prevent water and food crises spinning out of control, protect everyone from heat waves and extreme weather events, and ensure good health for all, allow people to move safely and securely. Okay. Like that's really happened. But all that was the, hammer home for urgent need to act. All right. There has been some acting. There has been there has been a surge in renewals. I won't say there hasn't. I have batteries. I mean, there's a surge in renewals. The United States is screwing it all up like usual with what happens. I mean, this country is absolutely putting the brakes on any kind of progress, even if the big picture is as bleak as what I've just read to you. So he's talking about soil erosion and desertification. Okay, and then the UN report on unsustainable free market capitalism. If I say that, am I going to get in trouble with the orange turd government because I might be anti fucking capitalism? Is it worth it to keep doing what I do? Thread. Ben C. These are the conclusions of a report produced by the UN by an independent research institute. So the world must radically cut emissions. Some places have, but we haven't. In 60, there was around half a hectare of farming land for every person on Earth. By 2020, there will only be a third of that left. And by 2026, well, we see what's happening. The farmland, though, is taken in Brazil. It's like, okay, bye-bye. See this picture? It looks like that's what's happening for COP30. Yeah. Incredible, huh? So industrialized agriculture wouldn't be possible without plentiful provisions of cheap crude oil and natural gas to supply fuels, pesticides, herbicides, and fertilizers. If the cheap oil and gas supply fails, global agriculture fails too. So a lot of these are still prescient issues, that are happening. But I just think it's really interesting that I found this bookmarked from 2019. I didn't even remember being on this platform, but it was called Twitter then. I mean, again, pre-pandemic, pre my divorce, Trump was president. But I mean, it just has gotten so much worse. Yep. Water emergency. Where are the headlines screaming for remarkable political economic system change? You won't see them in a big business state-run corporate media. Now, that was from 2022, and he had posted that in February. So there you go. There's Ben. And I thought it was an interesting way for me to start this because I found that bookmark and I'm like, holy shit. That just illustrates that the World Meteorological Organization and the disaster management people, the first responders, these are the most important people on the planet right now. The people that are going to be able to understand and see what's coming, and the people that are going to help others, animals, people through everything that's coming. When you think about it, who else is more important than those people? I mean, okay, the people that are out there at COP in their different pavilions and, with their solutions and trying to sell each other all this shit, fine, that's going to happen. But while they're all doing that, trying to save the world, and the scientists are going to do more science on top of, well, we know we're fucked anyway, the first responders and the meteorological people are on the job. And because of the fact that Earth is already shooting through the 1.5 C, this was from February in 2025, crossing the threshold. And it's 10 years since Paris. And so we go up and up and up. So there were 2 papers that were released. And like I said, I'm not going to go into them, but 2024, the first year of many above 1.5 C. How many people even want to talk about this? Not many, because it's so hard to really understand the big picture. It's very difficult. It's easier, and of course, I do this too. I divert my attention. It's easy to you want the Epstein files out. You want to see how depraved of a man and a society we live in. I want that. I want justice for females. I want a lot of things. But here, this is eclipsing. This is the environmental umbrella. A lot of things under that umbrella, but this is the tippy top. These are the organizations. So basically, global mean temperature, 1850, 2024, bloop. I don't have to even show you all these. I bring on guests to do this. But we see it right here, all the way up. And when Ben was talking in 2019 on X, his comment, his one was 1.0. I mean, it's kind of like just ludicrous. It's a joke. It's really sad and pathetic. I mean, I could easily turn this into a rant. I consume a lot and read a lot, and it's just insane. But the studies were conducted independently in Europe and Canada. Nice. Because that's where the studies are going to have to be conducted. Europe, Canada, China, Russia. I don't know what they're doing now. They tackled the same basic question. Is a year above 1.5 C global warming a warning sign that we've already crossed? Okay. Where, yeah, okay. In the European paper, the researchers looked at historical warming trends. They found when the Earth's temperature reached a certain threshold, the following 20-year period also reached that threshold. All right, so there you go. And Canada said month-to-month data. June was the last year, the 12th consecutive month of temperatures above 1.5. The researcher found 12 consecutive months above a climate threshold indicates the threshold will be reached over the long term. And of course, the paper has to say stringent emissions reductions begin now. Yeah, all right. No, it's not happening. It isn't happening. So, being that it's not happening, as fast as we need it to happen. And as many solar farms, I mean, there's a gigantic windmill whole thing going on around here because it's going to make these farmers money. I don't know where the energy's going, but these are, I don't know, 600 feet high. They're humongous, gigantic. They're gigantic, but it's going to happen. So here we are. We know we're here. And now, COP30. So the first thing, what stands out to us at COP30? The Council of the Parties. Fossil fuel lobbyists outnumber all COP30 delegations except Brazil. One in every 25 participants at the 2025 UN Climate Summit is a fossil fuel lobbyist, or as Antonio Guterres says, a fossil fool. According to Kick Big Polluters Out. And so this just actually came out not long before I started putting everything together for the final show, which I see I'm losing people because you're all probably really upset at this, but people are going to be upset. Don't shoot the messenger, like the song says. Not advocating violence, YouTube. So 1,600 fossil fuel lobbyists have been granted access to COP30, significantly outnumbering every single country's delegation. Isn't that great? What do they want there? What do you think? It's a 12% rise from last year's. The comedies just write themselves. They just do. Let's see. I don't even want to go through. We just went through the whole thing, like Tehran. Okay, we'll just do this real quick. Climate breakdown is escalating. In the lead up to COP30, hundreds of people were killed after two powerful typhoons wreaked havoc less than a week apart in the Philippines, a country that has been hit by 21 significant storms this year alone. Fossil fuel-affiliated lobbyists outnumber official delegates from the Philippines by nearly 50-1, and Iran, where severe drought could force the government to evacuate the capital Tehran by 44-1. I mean, it's just really insane. I don't even know why I'm going on with all this shit anymore. I've been saying the same thing for how many years? How many years? For what? I mean, literally, this is how I feel recently. I love you. For you. Okay, for you. For you. Fossil fuel corporations are wrecking our communities. Yet the red carpet is rolled out for lobbyists to roam the corridors. Narisha Baldeview, Friends of East Africa. It's just, you can read this. It'll be in the show notes. It's just going to piss me off. So, we are going to move on. And I want to talk about the World Meteorological Organization. So now that I've got you all primed on how messed up things really are, we'll talk about the organizations that will help us understand what's coming, what we're going to go through all over the world for people all over the world, and also the disaster assessment and coordination. So let's talk about what they are. I think the World Meteorological Organization is pretty cool. And I've been enjoying learning all about them. And I showed you the video already, that their little, COP30 video. But they're really all about information and prepping and warning people. And she's pretty cool. Celeste Saulo, I watched some of her videos. She's pretty cool. And they have lots of good stuff on their website. And then we're going to maybe learn a little bit about the impact bond. This is where the money is. But this is not money. This is money to run this thing so that the whole world understands what's coming when it's coming. If there's a typhoon coming, if there, you're not going to get the National Weather Service from the United States to goddamn do anything. But the UN is what we have. The UN is what we have. And the Weather Organization is super important. In fact, I sent Nicholas Humphrey, our meteorologist, PhD student, I sent him the link to jobs because maybe he could he could work for them and get the hell out of the United States where there's no jobs. He's never going to get a job at the NOAA now, right? So about them, and I want to go, I'm actually going to go on to them, but we're just quickly about them. Their overview. They are the United Nations system's authoritative voice on state and behavior of the Earth's atmosphere, its interaction with land and oceans, the weather and climate it produces, and the resulting distribution of water resources. As weather and climate and water cycle know no national boundaries, international cooperation at a global scale. You hear that orange turd? Is essential for development of meteorology and operational hydrology, as well as to reap benefits from their application. The World Meteorological Organization provides the framework for such international cooperation for its 193 member states and territories. So here's this amazing organization doing amazing things for the world, and Israel wants to do, they're just conducting a genocide. Russia is assaulting Ukraine. They want the territory. The United States is about to take over Venezuela, go in there and pillage that country for their resources of fossil fuels. I mean, the world is crazy. Warring motherfuckers. And here's the organization that's going to tell us what's actually happening so we know, not by war, but by weather and by extreme weather. Extreme weather. Yep. But I do think that it's really good to learn about them. And they have a publication called The Global Status of Multi-Hazard Early Warning Systems. Very, very important. We know all the big militaries have their stupid warning systems on, incoming bomb and things. But I mean, these are extremely important to have for the whole world. And that's why they're at COP, and they are part of the United Nations. And that's why I think personally they are the most important part of the Council of the Parties and the disaster management people. So, new framework and toolkit strengthens extreme heat. Here, we'll look at this. Extreme heat governance. As the world faces record-breaking temperatures, a new extreme heat risk governance framework and toolkit was launched today at COP30 to help countries strengthen governance, coordination, and investment in response to escalating heat risks. So that's what's happening. These people are the salt of the earth. These are the people that have empathy. These are the people that care. These are the people that give a shit about what's happening in other countries to try to help people and wildlife. It's not just humans. Everything is not humans. Humans got us in this mess. Got every other sentient being in this mess. But they're talking about the early warning systems, and that's why they need money. Everybody needs money. Everybody needs money. Then there's the United Nations Disaster Assessment and Coordination. And these people, this is the United Nations Disaster Assessment and Coordination System. It's part of the Office of the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. It serves as the international response system for sudden onset emergencies such as earthquake or a flood, and is designed to help the United Nations and governments of disaster-affected countries during the first phase of an emergency. I'm sorry, I'm always thirsty when I do these shows. That's the first responder. So the meteorologists, the weather people, the scientists to tell us and warn us and let us know what's happening, and these people that are right in swooping to help pick up the pieces, which I think is wonderful. Here's one thing. Then there's that whole group of online bots, deniers, freaks, and weirdos. They look at the United Nations and literally think, they talk about the global new world order and all of that other shit, right? They don't take 5 minutes to read any of these things to understand who these people are. They'll scream, the United Nations, it's all a hoax. Makes me sick. I think that's part of why I'm a doomer. I mean, everything I read from Ben, how can you not be? But we will be ending with something on hope. So these people, salt of the earth, wonderful. Let's see what does their calendar say. I'm interested if it's up. Oh, it's pretty small. All right, I don't know if I can even see this. Well, they've got a busy calendar. Put it that way. I'm not going to lean in to try to see it. We read about what they do. You know, let's see. They bring together humanitarian actors to ensure a coherent response to emergencies. They were probably just in the Philippines. And I'll tell you what, in the United States, with the lack of FEMA help and the ever dwindling resources, we are going to become a country where the United Nations just might have to come in, if ICE lets them, to assist communities in the United States because of the short-sighted, ignorant behavior of the people in this administration. I have to tell you, I read something pretty interesting, though. Remember, we used to all make fun of Kimberly Gargoyle? Kimberly Don Jr.'s girlfriend. And Donald Trump made her to get rid of her because Don was, doing some other one. And Kimberly went over to be the ambassador to Greece. Well, I read up on Kimberly, and good old Kimberly is pretty well understanding that climate change is real because she's living in a country that's been plagued by fires. You don't hear much about her. She learned. She's ambassador to a country being decimated by the changing climate, being destroyed yearly basis. That's interesting, isn't it? You can't live there. You can't be an ambassador and say, oh, no, it's a hoax. They'll kick your ass right out. So maybe she's away from that disgusting Mar-a-Lago environment, and maybe there's a little hope for her. I don't know. The best is yet to come. God, that sounded horrible. I hope I didn't hurt your ears. So, yeah. Can't make shit up. Nope. Groove Dragon on. Let me see if I can put up your comment. Can't make the shit up. Nope. Can't make that shit up. Yep. So, but this is what's happening. So, here's the people I think are super important. Super, super, super important. And now we're going to move on. And we already know this. But this is what's leading up to, they had a statement, the World Meteorological Organization. This was their draft statement, and I'm going to move down a little bit. They're talking about how they indicated that January to August was 1.42 plus or minus, the 12C above pre-industrial average of heat. Well, I can do that till I'm blue in the face. In 2025, Arctic sea ice extent reached the lowest maximum in the satellite record at approximately 13.8 million square kilometers. In the Antarctic, both the minimum and maximum sea ice extents were the third lowest in satellite record. The year 2024 set a new record for annual global mean sea level. Preliminary 2025 data show that the global mean sea level has dropped slightly, likely a temporary behavior related to internal climate variability. I love the meteorological people. I have to say, I'm such a nerd. I really do like doing climate and science and environment shows so much better than politics. Anyway, preliminary, but the World Meteorological Organization State of Global Water Resources 2024 report noted that water cycle continues to become increasingly erratic. Only 1/3 of the river basins worldwide had normal stream flow conditions. On the plus side, the early warnings for all initiative, which is really cool, is moving forward with pace. Since 2015, the number of countries reporting multi-hazard early warning systems, MHEWSs, had more than doubled from 56 to 119 in 2024. However, 40% of the countries still lack these systems, and urgent action is needed to close those remaining gaps. This is critical stuff, in my opinion. This is critical. The whole world, everybody should know about this. Everybody should know that these countries that the United Nations is trying to help all the countries of the world with early hazard warning systems. Everyone deserves to be in the same boat. Not yachts versus sinking wooden boats. Not shooting Venezuelan, we don't know drug boats. The United Nations Systematic Observations Financing Facility, SOFF, is innovating climate finance through the Systematic Observation Impact Bond that will be announced by the COP presidency later on this week. And this is the video I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to set up so then you kind of, guys, you'll get a little... Yeah, I'm so notchy with this shit. You'll get a little understanding of what they're talking about, okay?
A gap can be frustrating, limiting, dangerous. Now, let me tell you about a gap that stretches across the entire planet. Did you know that every country must share its weather data in one global network? Why? Because we all rely on it for every forecast, early warning, and climate action. But in countries with the most limited resources, 90% of that data is missing. And this gap ripples across forecasts and lives everywhere. For farmers, less knowledge of when to plant to feed us all. For pilots, less guidance to fly us home safely. For communities, less time to prepare before a devastating cyclone, when every hour counts for survival. As weather gets more extreme and unpredictable, the gap that once felt frustrating or limiting is now becoming dangerous for everyone. We need to close it. That is why a United Nations fund has invented this, the Systematic Observation Impact Bond. It is a new way to support countries to act faster than ever and close the weather and climate data gap together. It's time to scale up action.
Okay, how much you want to bet the United States is just raring to go with that one? But that's great stuff. And it was interesting how she mentioned air traffic, but like we want to change, but we're not going to change. So if people are going to fly, the airlines need the best meteorological information they can have, or we will see more of what we're seeing already. And that's just not because of the air traffic controller strike. I'm also addicted to pilot debriefing, airline crash debriefings, as I've told you 100 times. As of September 2025, the Climate Risk and Early Warning System Initiative had mobilized USD. They still go by our money. $150 million, with 19 projects ongoing and 16 small grants accelerated technical assistance financing. It has leveraged an additional USD 890 million through partners such as the World Bank and the Green Climate Fund. Cruise support has improved early warning access and services for 397 million people in climate vulnerable countries, including at least 23 countries that are categorized as fragile, conflict, and violence affected. Now, think about this. All these billionaires and the whole billionaire class and what they spend their money on. And you look at the United Nations, and you look at the World Meteorological Organization and what they need to do for people. There's something wrong in a world, not just the United States, in a world where billionaires, first of all, exist. And the inequality is just insane. Insane. There's just something wrong. Here's these, I don't know where how exactly they're fundraising. They're trying to fundraise from countries, other countries. But I just think it's just so insane how the world works, actually. How it's always worked, I suppose. It's just crazy now. So they have the state of the climate update. They produced this for COP30. And I did say that we were going to look through at least in the show notes or the title, we're going to look at COP30 through the eyes of the World Meteorological Organization and their data and their reports. So this is their state of the climate. I mean, we've already gone through a lot, so why not just inundate ourselves some more? Their key messages. I like the way this little report was set up. I thought it was kind of cute. As cute as, reading about your own extinction is. Greenhouse gases. And each of these you can go into, and I went through all of them, but I decided, of course, we weren't going to do every single one of them. I mean, it could become a 2-hour show. I don't know if my back could take it. Sure gives me a lot to clip, though. Greenhouse gases and global mean near surface temperatures. Ocean heat content. Jim, you're in the audience. Hi, Jim. Sea level rise. Hi, Jim again. Glacier mass balance. Sea ice extent. Extremes. Renewables. And climate services and early warnings for all. So I thought it would be interesting to go through things that we would not normally, but there's a comment that Jim made, and I really think it's important for me to put up. Okay, here it is. All right, let me put this up because I want to tell you what I did. AMOC is slowing. There is new data that suggests the rate of slowing could be increasing. I define collapse of AMOC as total complete shutdown, no vertical sinking anywhere. Now listen, you're not on X anymore, but I took the video that I made of what you did, of your calculations of the last 20 years of data, and I put it up there. Not shared it from YouTube. I literally put it up there with a link to your channel. People need to understand. You did it, Jim. You were spot on there. And you're always keeping on top of what's out there, and you're a great teacher. Some of it may go over my head. I mean, just to bring a little levity to the show. But that's okay. It's okay. Every show I do with Jim, I study. And that it forces me to study. Who out there knew what the hell a jetajoule was before we have our Jim Massa? Okay. So what are we going to look at? I think I would like to look at renewables. I want to see what their report said about the renewables. So where is that? The introduction, greenhouse gas rate. Well, how come you don't click on it? It doesn't go right down. I wanted to do that first. ... I missed it. I wanted to go on renewables because... All right, let me go back here and see if you click on it. Oh, you click on the plus. Oh, my God. Sandra. Oh, there's no plus on renewables. There's a plus on... Oh, here it is. Okay. It's time for a deep breath. Okay, now we continue. Sandra found the plus. Isn't it weird when people talk in the third person? It is. Climate variability continue to impact renewable energy production. As global renewable energy capacity expands, Integral climate data in science is essential across the sector's value chain, from generation to transmission, distribution, and dispatch. Climate-informed energy indicators make it possible to estimate impacts at every stage of this chain. So we may see all of the science that is so seriously screwed up and scary and frightening, but nobody's stopping in the world. China certainly isn't. Antonio and I did the show on it and on what they're doing technologically. So that's why the World Meteorological Organization is involved in this. Renewable is key component of climate change mitigation, and production and demand are closely tied to climate variability. See, we're adapting. We have to adapt, and they're talking about mitigating the effects. I think that ship may have sailed a bit, but it's still, it's still being worked on. Nobody's giving up. So year-to-year changes in temperature, wind, precip, and cloud cover can directly influence both the generation of renewable power and the demand for energy. I want to get to where they say exactly what they do for this. 24. Major climate drivers affected energy supply and demand across the globe. For example, ongoing dry conditions across South America. And then they go on. Specifically, they are involved in this because they provide the data to the industry. And the industry is not just the United States. It's all over the world. That's what they do. But they're showing you why variability makes it so critical for anybody that's producing renewable energy to have access to top-of-the-line meteorological services. Absolutely. So that's the first one I wanted to look at because I thought it was interesting to see. You don't always think of those things when you're thinking about, okay, renewable energy, but you're not thinking about the production. You're not thinking about how it works with the climate. Natural variability is the day changes. It's going to rain tomorrow. We might not have enough. We may have too many clouds, and that on top of the changing climate in extremes or in elevated heat risks and all that make it so critical for that industry. That's all. That is what I'm saying. What do you want to look at next? I mean, we could look at ocean heat content. I'm sure Jim would love that. But actually, I want to look at things we don't always look at. So I want to look at climate services. National meteorological and hydrological services have a growing role to support climate action. Nationally determined contributions, NDCs, are increasingly recognizing the importance of climate services and early warning systems. I mean, this is what the whole thing's about, really, for me. Climate services and early warning systems are emerging as indispensable components of updated NDCs, which was part of this whole thing. The contributions. When you go to COP, all the countries say they're going to help, they're going to contribute to the smaller countries, to the island countries, to help them adapt, mitigate when these things happen to them. And they're saying, okay, we're going to help translate the global climate commitments into real progress on the ground. According to UNFCCC 2024, the NDC synthesis report, 92% of parties with adaptation components in their NDCs emphasize the need for enhanced climate data, observation systems, and climate research. Of course. Of the NDC 3.0s submitted so far, 26 of 36 explicitly reference climate services and 25 reference early warning systems, underscoring their centrality to national policy planning. So important. So important for your people, for your wildlife, pets, for everything, for every living being. And the early warning systems are worthwhile. They are probably one of the most worthwhile things, I think. Their analysis also underpinned Mozambique's early warnings for all national roadmaps, soon to be embedded in the NDC 3.0. So all these countries are working together, which is wonderful. Strengthening anticipatory planning across sectors, including health, food security, and disaster risk reduction. There you go. It's risk reduction, harm reduction. Wonderful. I guess I can't extol the virtues enough, of this, of why I like it so much, why I like this organization so much. And I mean, I could have gone on and on. I could have showed you videos of everybody talking. There's a lot of stuff. The links will be in the show notes. You're interested in it. It's a different way to look at COP30. And even I'm going to continue. Early warning systems are expanding with stronger observations and forecasting. So the global reach of multi-hazard early warning systems continues to expand, though disparities remain across components. Global cooperation in forecasting and data sharing has been key. So, like it was said before, they are crucial, more crucial than ever. Significant advances have been made towards the United Nations Secretary General's Early Warnings for All initiative, which aims for universal MHEWS's coverage by 2027. So since 25, the number of countries that has doubled, 56 to 119 in 2024, yet 40% of the countries still lack it. That's a problem, in my estimation. All countries should have access to these early warning systems. And so progress is notable among least developed countries, LDCs, and small island developing states, SIDSS, so everything has an acronym, where reported coverage increased by about 5% in the last year at all. Alone. Effective, they are built on 4 pillars. 1, risk knowledge, forecasting, communication and dissemination, and preparedness and response. God, I love this. I mean, if I had another lifetime to be in a career, I would so work with this organization. I would love to see Nicholas do it. I could live vicariously through him. I would probably be able to work in setting up. I love writing things like this report with the 4 pillars. I've been involved in reports with pillars before. It's like report speak. But risk knowledge, forecasting, communication, dissemination, and preparedness and response. So much in each one of those. So much. And so much cooperation is needed with the people that are working together on these programs. Observations from the backbone of hazard monitoring and forecasting, improving model performance, extending lead times, and enabling more accurate warnings. Since 2019, the number of surface stations sharing observation data has grown by about 20%, while daily observations and reports per station have increased by 60%. LDCs, least developed countries, have tripled the number of compliant stations in the past 2 years, though no country has yet achieved full compliance with the standards. But they're working towards it. They have no choice because this shit's happening faster than previously expected. These extreme weathers, all this extreme weather. Forecasting capacity has also advanced substantially through the WMO Integrated Processing and Prediction System. The Integrated Processing and Prediction System. Its global network of over 150 designated centers assures that all of the NMHSs can access state-of-the-art forecast products regardless of their own modeling capacity. This is great shit, to be unprofessional about it. 3/4 of WMO members now use these outputs, bridging capacity gaps and strengthening forecasting capacity across the global early warning network. So they have to have money continually invested. Let's get those billionaires to help with this shit. No, they just want to take off to Mars and they want to build bunkers. They want to go on big yachts. But this is a cool little report, I think. And I like learning about the services and especially the early warning systems. I think that those are very important. They're important here in communities like mine with people who don't even understand. They probably think the UN is such a concept here, probably to a lot of the people around here. Maybe not the educated ones from the university, but I'm talking about, your rank and file local who might even fall into the category of they hear the word United Nations, the words, and right away think of some kind of cabal or some kind of conspiracy. It's pretty sad, actually. All right. We have been an hour and 7 minutes. So each one of these key messages is written in here. And this is Celeste. Let me see. Can I make her bigger? I don't think so. Anyway, this is her. I'm going to read her little message. The message is simple. 2025 is on track to be the second or third warmest year on record, and the last 11 years, including 2025, will individually have been the 11 warmest year on record. We are not on track to meet the goals of the Paris Agreement. Other climate indicators continue to sound alarm bells, and more extreme weather had major global impacts on economies and all aspects of sustainable development. There is good news. Renewable energy is expanding. Climate action plans are increasingly informed by science-based climate services. Early warnings are reaching more people in more places and saving more lives. This report is based on contributions from World Meteorological Organization members and partners, proof of the strong collaboration and data exchange, which has been the hallmark of the WMO throughout its 75-year history, as we transform the science into action for global good. How can you beat that? And how can you find anything sinister in that? And she's awesome. I saw her speak, or I watched her speak. You can't, because it's not. These are the things that the United States should be intricately involved in, not wars, not trying to steal resources. Wow, can you imagine? I did watch Al Gore speak. Say what you want, but the guy, if you go back in time and just imagine his presidency, would we be where we are now? Who knows? Like Ben didn't have a crystal ball. I don't have a backwards crystal ball looking forward. So I think it's pretty cool. And they have a whole lot of acknowledgments and data sources, and you'll see it when I finish putting in all of the show notes after the show, which is how I usually work it. All right, so I have really hit everything. So I just want to show you. This is their page. They have a YouTube. And they have all these little videos on their YouTube so you can keep up with them. But it's a worldwide organization. Nobody watches. Nobody looks at their stuff. I will. I like their stuff. They have an Instagram. And this was the one. On a daily basis, we see destructive weather. Without advanced forecasts, early warnings, and early action, the loss of life would have been much, much higher. Celeste Saulo. Yeah, definitely. She's like the bomb. So that's their Instagram. So I think we have really covered the gamut. I hope you guys have learned and have realized how important this organization is. And it's not just because, I could have done this show without COP30. It's just that they have a pavilion there, and this is their time to shine and shine and help, because they're the helping organizations of the world. There are still those out there. It is not all evil and vicious and horrible. And now that we have gone through a lot of emotions, I think, we've seen the gravity and destruction that's happening on the planet. We looked at the fact that the joke is on us with the fossil fuel lobbyists that are at the COP. Things aren't going to get better Adaptation is a big word. Mitigation is a big word. And I'm going to end us with an article by my friend, Collapse 2050. The audacity of hope in a hopeless world. And of course, I think as I read this, remember how I have my my little music that is like makes you even feel it more. I have to find it. Okay, here we go. Here we go. The audacity of hope in a hopeless world. A necessary contradiction. Beautiful. Hope by George Frederick Watts. With her clothes and rags, her body scarred and bruised and bleeding, her harp all but destroyed, and with only one string left, she had the audacity to make music and praise God. To take the one string you have left and to have the audacity to hope. That's the real word God will have us hear from this passage and from Watts' painting, Pastor Jeremiah Wright. I have spent years digging into the data, analyzing charts, and tracking the cascading ecological, economic, and social failures. If you're honest about the evidence, it paints a picture of an accelerating breakdown. The logical, evidence-based conclusion is that the complex, globalized system we rely on is structurally and thermodynamically heading towards a fundamental contraction or collapse. It's terrifying. It's a terrifying conclusion. And if I'm intellectually honest, I have to concede that the inevitability of this systemic shift looks overwhelming. So why bother? Why wake up in the morning? Why plant a garden or try to educate someone or invest a single ounce of effort in a world that, by all rational metrics, looks hopelessly compromised? That is where the logic of the heart and the logic of the mind diverge. This is where we talk about the audacious, infuriating, and absolutely necessary delusion of hope. As Pastor Jeremiah Wright quoted at the start of this article, explained to an audience that included a young Barack Obama. His sermon, delivered in 1990, inspired Obama's 2004 DNC speech, Audacity of Hope, that propelled him to the national stage. But what is hope? Hope is not blind faith that everything will somehow be okay. Hope is not outsourcing work to an invisible power. Rather, hope is the recognition that effort might have value and that the immediate is worth saving. The primary reason to hold on to hope, even when the data scream otherwise, is self-preservation. It's a defense mechanism against a far more dangerous threat than collapse itself: complete and utter apathy. Psychologists have a concept for this, born out of experiments in the 1960s, learned helplessness. In those tests, dogs who were repeatedly subjected to inescapable, painful electric shocks eventually stopped trying to escape, even when the barriers were removed and escape became possible. They simply lay down and accepted their fate. They learned that effort was futile and that knowledge paralyzed them. The human psyche operates under similar laws. Often, when people become convinced that the global predicament is inevitable, inescapable, and beyond their control, they become apathetic. Why save money if currency is going to fail? Why conserve water if the reservoir will dry up anyway? Why learn a skill if the society that needs it is dissolving? The lack of hope, ironically, becomes the self-fulfilling prophecy of rapid demise. It causes us to neglect the immediate, our health, our local community, our immediate environment, because the future seems canceled. By losing hope, we surrender agency and accelerate our own downfall. Hope, therefore, is an intellectual decision to maintain agency, to choose not to lie down in the face of the inevitable, even if only to keep the lights on for one more day. Beyond just avoiding the psychological paralysis, hope has a critical functional role in what comes next. It's easy to dismiss any effort against a global crisis as a drop in the ocean. But here's the thing about inevitability. It's not a single moment in time. Collapse is a process, a messy, decades-long unfolding. The time and manner of descent matters profoundly for the quality of life we and our children will experience. If every single person who recognized the predicament simply checked out, the fall would be swift, violent, and utterly chaotic. But when people hold a sliver of hope, it fuels the efforts that might actually make a difference on the margins. Hope supports the movements that mitigate the damage. Pushing for regenerative agriculture, localizing supply chains, or building community resilience doesn't stop climate change, but it mitigates the local damage when the global systems fail. Delay the inevitable. Every day gained is a day where more people can prepare, adapt, and build safer support networks. Hope gives us the patience to pursue incremental change, and we can manage collapse more carefully. The goal shifts from stopping the process to guiding it. Hope motivates people to act ethically, share resources, and create lifeboat communities, ensuring that the necessary contraction happens with as much grace, humanity, and equity as possible. No matter how unrealistic the grand hope of saving the world might be, the small localized hope of saving my neighborhood becomes a tool for survival. My own motivation is fueled by what I fully recognize as a personal delusion. I see the evidence. I know what the models suggest, yet I continue to research, to write, to educate, and to help people prepare. Why? Because my personal stubborn kernel of hope tells me that my effort, hey, it might matter. This delusion pushes me to carry on. It's my psychological coping mechanism, an agreement I've made with the darkest part of my own mind. I will fight, even if I know I'll lose. The fight itself is what keeps me whole. And here's where my years in the world of investing offered a lesson that grounds this: audacity, humility. The evidence shows collapse is inevitable, but here's what I don't know. How the collapse will occur, slow burn or sudden snap. When will it occur, next year or next decade? How long the difficult transition will last. Blind conviction is the death of wisdom. The investor who is blindly convinced that they are right, who assumes that they have all the variables, is often the one who gets wiped out. I know I'm not omniscient. I know I cannot predict the butterfly effects of surprise. If there is even a 1% chance the models are wrong, or that a decentralized network of human efforts can stabilize a region, I owe it to myself and to others to act on that 1%. Choosing a hope is choosing humility. It means admitting I see 99% probability, but because I don't know everything, I will behave as though the 1% is still possible. Finally, and perhaps most personally, a little hope helps me savor the moment that we have right in front of us. When the future is entirely dark, the present becomes meaningless. The impending doom consumes the light of today. Without that decision to believe in the possibility of a better today, or even a better tomorrow, even if the day after is that grim, I would succumb to the depression and despair that waits right outside the door. Hope allows me to enjoy a sunset. Hope lets me teach my nieces and nephews how to bake bread or grow tomatoes. Hope transforms the terrifying unknown into motivation to maximize the beauty and the meaning of this singular, fleeting moment in time. The audacity of hope is a choice to live fully and act ethically despite the mountain of contradicting evidence. That's Sarah, Collapse 2050. And I feel almost like she wrote that for me because I have felt a lack of wanting to go on for all this. I mean, not ending my own life, nothing like that. I'm talking more like just not doing this because I think, what for? And then I look out and I say, hey, look at the chat. Look at the people in the audience. Look at the friends I've made through the channel. Right? And so when I'm feeling my shittiest and I want to say, screw this, nobody cares, who gives a shit, what am I doing it for? You and me. And because I like to teach. I like to teach. And I'm trying really hard to make this work. I really liked what Sarah wrote. And I'm going to clip it. And I'm going to dedicate it to her. And it's not even like I use hope a lot, but she just wrote it in a way that it made it seem how I needed to feel. How I needed to feel. Because you look at the news, and if you go online and you go on the toxic pit that's known as X, you really can lose anything. Like, why? I mean, today I felt like, okay, why bother anything? Why even do a show? Why even? I mean, I actually literally thought, maybe I'll just come on tonight and tell everybody I'm done. I'm not doing this ever again. And at the last minute, I was looking at my email and I found Sarah's column. And it changed everything. It changed everything for the day. And it really, really felt good. Thank you, Poppy. And thank you for being such a great supporter. She's just wonderful. Thank you. Connection. Yes, connection. Exactly. We all feel the same. That's right. And as long as there's pizza, we have something to work for. Oh my gosh. Absolutely. Where is that? Okay, yeah. Yes, pizza. Although I don't eat pizza very often. But I like pizza. That was good. That was good. And yes, localized action. Of course. We can't do anything more. Don't I say this like every other show? Anything you're going to do is local. I found the town meeting that I'm going to, and I am not happy about the windmill farms that they're doing, but I'm not. Pick your battles. Pick your battles. I don't want data centers here. I'm not involved in that one. Got to keep on. It's a struggle. Yeah, but why? I used to think someday I won't be struggling. That day has not come. But I'm not alone. I mean, there's millions of us out here like this. Yep. And I love you guys in the chat too. Thank you for everything. I really, really care about all of you. But seriously, I consume all this material and I'm not sure I'm really digging. I don't know if doing the politics, it always ends up being somewhat of an environmental political show anyway on Thursdays. I just don't think that I can do a straight political show. Everything goes back to climate and environment. Everything, even the hemp show, even the hemp show. So thank you everyone for everything. I love you guys. I really wanted you to see how important the World Meteorological Organization is and the United Nations disaster management and everything that they're doing. They really need our support since the orange turd does not like the United Nations and they are so wrong in their assessment of everything. Maybe COP is a failure. I'm not going to even comment. Everybody else can. I'm not doing the normal COP 30 show. There was a lot to criticize. There's a lot to discuss, but I really wanted to bring the World Meteorological Organization out there to you and what they're doing and how much they are going to be needed. First responders are everything. Even where I live here, the first responders. Yesterday morning, I heard a fire truck. I turned on the scanner. There was a fire 2 miles up the road, and the whole house was demolished. And the woman that lives there is a friend of my other neighbor, and she was taken to the hospital. I knew what was going on. But those first responders from all the towns around here, they were like flies on shit. They were there. They were there. I don't care if they voted for Trump. I don't care who they are. They're first responders. They deserve our respect because these are the people that give a shit about others. It's very hard for me to believe that they would vote for him and be a first responder. Sorry, but okay, there's my little political end. But thank you so much. It's so, so important. And I hope, I can't do that right now. Maybe Looney Tunes, are you still here? You can put the link in. You're new. Are you trustworthy? You're not a troll. We don't get that many here. And tonight I was supposed to be on X. I kind of screwed that up, but all right, 10:27. 3 minutes to go. 3 minutes to go. COP32 in Ethiopia. Yeah? Really? Seriously? All right. 3 minutes to go. Oh, we need a flush. Oh, I forgot. I don't even use it. Okay. I've read other people's use of grok. Okay, here we go. We are officially flushing grok. The Environmental Coffee House flush of the day, in case there are people here that don't know we do that every show almost. Bye-bye, grok. All right. Grok is swirling down the proverbial Environmental Coffee House toilet. All right, that was pretty good. I like that one. Okay. So that was put up. Somebody put that up. Yeah, we got it. Okay, we'll do one more flush. We'll do 2 tonight because I did not do one on Thursday. When I do my Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern show, I'm not running it. This Space TV runs it on a different platform, and I don't have my sound effects. Although I was going to ask them if I could upload a sound effect into the software so I could do my flush of the day. It's really hard not to. Okay, bye-bye. Yeehaw! 2 flushes. And this summer, the water for the Environmental Coffee House flush of the day came from my rainwater catchment system. So we really didn't even waste water. And on that note, I suppose it is time to say goodnight. I will do all the show notes. And, be back Sunday night with Antonio. We have a really blow away your head show. Just think of the word aliens and not the kind that ICE is rounding up. Oh boy. And we're going to be here at 8 o'clock Sunday. You guys are in for a treat. It's like story time. Oh, you're in for a treat. Absolutely in for a goddamn treat. I look forward to this. We've been planning this for a while. Yep, we have been. So we'll see you Sunday night, I hope. All right. Na 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 na. Sing with me. Good night.